In the world of Lies of P, a mere whisper can lead one astray from the truth. Something as simple as a name can be lost in a sea of untruths and misdirection. What if I were to ask you the following question? Do you know the main protagonist's name in Lies of P? If you answered P, Pinocchio, the Tin Man, Geppetto's puppet, and even Carlo, then I'm happy to inform you that you're wrong. But there is still hope. If you're willing to learn fact from fiction, then prepare yourself for a journey through Krot that will reveal the true name of Geppetto's beloved puppet. On September 22, 2025, Jiwon Choi, the director of Lies of P, revealed the protagonist's true name during this interview, and as one might expect, the truth was quite shocking. Links to the original interview are in the description of this video for your viewing pleasure. But before we dive into this insightful revelation, let's examine the names that our protagonist has been assigned by viewers such as yourself, NPCs in-game, and even after deep analysis of Krot's convoluted lore. First and foremost, let's dispel the fabricated name I loathe most of all. P is not the main character's name, and before you rage in the comments section stating that you knew this, let me clarify even further that his name is not Pinocchio either. In fact, neither of these names are referenced a single time in-game whatsoever. Although it's quite clear that the premise of the game is highly inspired by Carlo Collodi's novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio, those who have actually played the game to its finality understand the critical importance of ambiguity in Lies of P. This purposeful omission of the name Pinocchio was designed to allow human nature to run its course. People often make inferences based on the limited information that's available to them, such as blaming copyright laws, etc. By definition, an inference is the logical process of drawing conclusions from evidence, reasoning, or premises rather than direct observation. This lack of direct observation is key. Most people see the story of Geppetto and his puppet and quickly jump to conclusions. However, Krot is a world where the lines between fiction and fantasy are blurred, where new realities and timelines are born from mere wishes, and humanity is both a blessing and a curse. The very title of the game has multiple meanings that only the most observant could hope to identify, the first of which serves to fool those who made incorrect inferences off of the game's premise. In Lies of P, the P in question is not referring to the player character at all. The more likely deduction is that it stands for Paracelsus, who we believe to be the sickly Giangio. In alchemy, Paracelsus was an incredibly renowned figure whose knowledge served as the foundation for many medical revolutions during the Renaissance. The final meaning resonates far deeper than the others. We must keep in mind and consider the fact that Lies of P was created by Korean developers. As such, there is much to glean from something as innocent as another culture's language. In Korean, the word P means blood, so when translated, the title would become Lies of Blood, which leans quite heavily into the destructive power of deceit and how easily lives can be lost, whether in the pursuit of truth or as a direct consequence of a lie. If we examine the names that remain, we can learn even more about the nature of humanity and how we attempt to define such a complex construct. Dorothy's presence in the end credits was certainly an astonishing conclusion to a wonderful tale. Or was it the beginning of the Tin Man's journey to seek out a heart of his very own? This is where the blurred lines of Krot's reality and the physical manifestations of classical works of literature come to the forefront. Lies of P is not simply a game about Pinocchio, but rather a world where fiction and reality are indistinguishable from one another. Many could argue that these are simply coincidence, but in a land where you can truly wish upon a star, it seems a bit naive to make such a safe assumption. What we do know for certain is that the protagonist is referred to as Geppetto's puppet, numerous times in-game by various NPCs. However, this is not a name, but simply a title for a mechanical device whose sole purpose is to serve as a vessel for a lost cause. Depending on the player's actions, this soulless machine gains sentience via a process known as ergo awakening. From its inception, Geppetto designed his puppet to resemble his deceased son, Carlo. This name is of utmost importance as it is shared by the original author of The Adventures of Pinocchio, Carlo Collodi. However, the nature of the boy's death resulted in an unexpected outcome. We learn from events in the game that ergo is essentially the human soul in crystalline form. Once it awakens, specifically in a shell that has a similar likeness to its former living self, the machine being powered by said ergo regains a semblance of its former humanity. As Geppetto's puppet undergoes this transformation, echoes of his past life ripple through reality and even time itself. A former master makes a dying wish. A painting commissioned by Dorian Gray begins to sprout a nose, and a lifeless puppet feels the faint beat of a heart. But this was only the beginning of what it meant to be human. Geppetto's puppet was no more. Instead, Carlo had reawakened and become a real boy once again. Only after his death and rebirth did Carlo learn to fathom the horrifying beauty and chaotic perfection that was the duality of humanity. So what is the protagonist's true name? Well, according to director Jiwon Choi, the main character in Lies of P has no formal name.
How old is P?
Actually, there is no name.
There's no
we
name.
have here. But as you heard, we talk about as P,
Yes.
but there is no actually a formal name in Lies of P.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yet another masterfully placed ambiguity that can allow for any multitude of possibilities for the future and even pave a yellow-bricked path towards a new beginning. How do you refer to the protagonist of Lies of P, and what lies influenced you to come to this conclusion? That's all for this video. Click on these videos on screen to continue your journey through the city of Krat, and I'll be there to guide you when you arrive. Until next time, it's the Inhuman One, signing out.